Okay, today's video we are going to talk about click fraud software and do you need it? Is it snake oil or not? For the most part, just to let you guys know up front, click fraud software is actually mostly snake oil, at least how it's marketed. Most of you guys, i.e. 99% of you guys, probably don't need it, okay? The click fraud software industry has gotten really good about marketing their wares and really making people, think that the reason why their campaigns aren't doing what they want them to do is click fraud software because, and that's a really nice thought because it's such a quick, easy, take the pill, but everybody wants answer to their PPC performance being shit. So for the most part, click fraud software isn't going to fix your problem because you've got bigger problems while you're not making more money. Even if you are making good money with your PPC, the impact it will have on your campaigns, even if you do have a problem, is probably mostly minimal. But the bigger thing is, most of you guys don't even have a click fraud software problem. Out of my 15 years doing PPC for different clients and businesses I've owned, less than 1 to 2% of people really have a click fraud issue in their market, where there's usually one or two guys, probably one guy, the big guy, who doesn't like other people coming into the market and will click fraud the other people coming in mostly. But in general, the big guy who has all the resources inevitably to do it. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to put some frame of reference around this whole thing so do you want to go out and get the click fraud software? And basically there's some easy workarounds. You don't even have to have click fraud software to fix your competitors from clicking on your ads or people from clicking on your ads that are not supposed to somewhat. But mainly the reason for this video is to let you know why you basically don't need it, okay? So I'll get right into the content. Now, in short, in very few industries is click fraud software actually needed, okay? I mentioned probably 1 or 2% of all the different markets out there, from carpet cleaning to scientific equipment sales, click fraud actually happens in, okay? Most of these are on local services, as it's much easier to do click fraud overall there in general, okay? So we're talking about markets where the cost per click on Google search is over $10 a click. And the reason for that is it's easier to do, where it takes less clicks to basically make a campaign not profitable. It's easier to actually do the click fraud to somebody, and also from the person doing the click fraud, it takes less resources of theirs to do the click fraud, and in terms of monetary resources, because it's not just about the owner sitting there clicking on your ads. It's much more sophisticated than that. And so for the if you're in a market like personal injury law, where there's tens of millions of dollars a year at stake in your local market of who gets to get most of the leads from Google ads, and the cost per click is $20, $30 a click, you're apt to have some click fraud. If you're in water damage restoration, where your basement gets flooded and you got to call and have somebody get rid of the water and then refix everything, those calls are worth as much as they're worth their weight in gold. You get a call for somebody, every single call that you get monetarily, that's worth $1,000, $2,000 in profit. And that's another market where click fraud comes up a lot. And so realistically, and the commonality between those two markets is you don't even have to run a business in those markets to do well. If you can get a profitable campaign going in either of those markets, you could sell the leads to somebody who does work in that space and take a float off the top. So now you're dealing with people, shark marketing people at that point, not just your average everyday business owner. This also could occur though, so those are local services and that's where it happens the most. This also can occur in national services. I've seen this a lot, like if you're doing professional services placement, placing, rent a CEO, rent a CFO, that type of stuff, where cost per click might be $30 a click, it can happen there. And generally speaking, it's not just competitors clicking on your ads to be an asshole. They want you to be gone. Their ideal situation is to watch you come in as the new guy with a certain budget saying, okay, I got $3,000 to spend on these ads. Let's give it a shot. You try it. $30 a click goes, with that, you only get 100 clicks. It goes quick. Your $3,000 goes quick. you get 100 clicks. Of those 100 clicks, as long as they could get 40 or 50, let's say, clicks on those clicks, it's not going to be profitable. I mean, it's already probably not going to be profitable, but with that, they're trying to discourage you and get you to think like 90% of the people coming into the game are going to do, which is, oh, Google Ads just doesn't work. And they've gotten more sophisticated to the point where they won't just click your ads. They'll click your ads, go to your form, put in some bullshit in the form so that you don't think just that Google Ads isn't efficient at that point. You think Google Ads brings shitty leads, which makes you abandon the whole process quicker, which is very smart on their part. So anyway, with that said, what does it actually take to pull off click fraud? So the click fraud agencies would make you think that anybody who doesn't like their competitor can do this. And frankly, it's ridiculous to think that these click fraud software companies know more than what Google knows about click fraud. Of course, you could say Google has alternative motives. They like click fraud because they can make more money. The reality is they don't give a shit about charging people for fraudulent clicks, because if they got rid of the fraudulent clicks, first of all, their customer service issues will be less, but then they could just mark up the existing clicks to more money. So they would not be making any more money by letting click fraud through. They would actually be making less money. So they got very sophisticated algorithms to determine what clicks are fraud and which ones are not. And with them storing all the data behind all that you've done with Google and different websites that they've tracked you on for the last 20 years since their inception as a company, they could very well tell what the differences are between a real click and a fake click. Particularly as you're talking about, you have a quantity of data to look at. They may not be able to tell one click individually, but the more clicks you have, when you have hundreds of fake clicks, they could tell it really well. So to do click fraud on a wide scale to somebody, it's actually not easy. For the most part, in the big money niches, what they're doing is they're going to reach out to a person who owns a botnet and rents the botnet out, which is usually like a Russian hacker who will go and hack a bunch of different home computers, devices, and tablets and phones, and they'll put code on those devices so they can access it at any time. And then they will release those. They'll have like 1,000 computers that they've taken over with and put code on that they can access at any time. The guy that's making $20 million a year as a personal injury lawyer and running a firm, he rents this botnet from this Russian hacker who can then go and click on your competitor's ads from 1,000 different devices, which then, that specifically, is very hard for Google to tell if that's real or and legitimate clicks or not legitimate, because they're actually occurring all over the country from all different types of devices, from all devices that they've seen before, from all people that they've seen before that were up to that point all legitimate. So if they can do that to you, they can really hand your ass to you in that situation. But that's not going to be in every market. That's only going to be in the ones where there's real money at stake. In the little, local plumber type, business space, there's not enough money to warrant doing it. And so you don't have to worry about it as much. That's why in the big, cost per click markets, those are usually markets where more money is at stake. Not always, but it generally trends that general direction. And therefore why, if you're in those type of markets where clicks are over $10, you're more likely to have to worry about click fraud. But so a lot of times it'll take a click botnet in order for the click fraud to happen, and then after Google analyzes all the traffic for them to legitimately green flag those as legitimate clicks, and you get billed for it. Because a lot of times the click fraud will come in, they'll analyze the clicks, they'll give you a return on your bill saying we found this many fake clicks. They're actively always trying to find the fake clicks on their own. And so Google's anti-click fraud protection and Facebook's anti-click fraud protection is much, much better than these click fraud software companies. That said, these click fraud software companies can help a little bit still, particularly as you're talking about high cost per click markets where even a few clicks will screw you up. And in that situation, also in markets where they're not using a botnet, but they're using a few people to click on your ads. They might know 50 people that can click on your ads a few times over the month and drain enough of your budget to get you to quit. In those situations, the click fraud software can analyze all IP addresses that's clicked one time and don't let the person see the ad after they've clicked one time already. And that can work in a market like water damage restoration, which you don't care if somebody comes back. If you're in a market where somebody needs to come back a second time, click fraud software can actually hurt your campaign's performance because they're not going to be able to find you again. So there's a fine line there. But so how will you actually know if you need click fraud software or not with all this I just said? First of all, don't be short-minded, as I call it. As you're doing PPC, you should already not be worrying about how long is this going to take before I'm going to make money. If you're going to go in for that approach right away, you're probably going to be like the 90% of people who never make money with PPC and say it don't work. You got to go in and say, I'm going to do whatever it takes, like my life literally depends on it to get this to work. I'm going to have the best ads, I'm going to have the best landing page, I'm going to do whatever it takes, and then you'll win at PPC. If you go in like everybody else, spending 15 minutes setting your ads up, saying it must work after I get 100 clicks, I better have business already in the door or I quit, you're going to be like the 90%. With that said, because the people that do click fraud know this is how people behave by default as they come into the market, that's the time where they'll load up your campaign with these fraudulent clicks to discourage you to quit right away. So if you only go in for a month hoping for it to work, and you're in a market where click fraud occurs, your chances of getting a profitable campaign is basically zero. The longer you run it though, the more likely it is that your campaign will work because the people doing the click fraud and trying to just smack everybody right away that are coming in, so there's no new competitors coming in, they'll only do it for you for so long because it takes resources to keep doing it. If they can load up, it costs them a bundle of money to click fraud you, and then but they can get you to quit in 30 days, that's worth it than to have you as a competitor for the next, several years. But if they literally had to click fraud you for 6 months, that's a different story. So that's why I say kind of 6 months is the general guideline. Assume the people starting out are going to click fraud you. They're not going to be click frauding you month 3, 4, 5, 6 in that range. And then you'll know by month 3, 4, 5, 6 if your campaign can work. Okay? So if you're in a high cost per click market and you're running search ads, then very specifically in those situations I would say run your ads for a while. Expect that you might get some click fraud right away, but it'll go away basically. And therefore, you kind of don't need the click fraud software, but you can use it. And if you are going to use it, it's better to basically just make sure that people can't click your ad more than once, because the unsophisticated people doing it to you, the ones i.e. without the botnets, are going to be just having several people click as many times as they can get away with, if you will, and that'll block some of that, but not all. Some of the click fraud, sorry, not all, i.e. each person with each device can only click it once, at least, versus clicking it more than once and getting hit multiple times from the same person that they have involved in their click fraud network or system or whatever you want to call it. 2, check industry conversion stats. So basically you want to go and type in your industry, personal injury law, average landing page conversion rates. Find out what your average conversion rate is for search campaigns on Google for your market, and as with that, you check the conversion rate of your landing page from your Google Ads campaign, and you should be able to see a conversion rate that's similar to the industry average. If it's not, you might have a problem with click fraud. So with that said, you're not going to run to the click fraud software right away. You're going to make sure you have a good landing page, and a landing page that will convert at the rates that you need to. And going back to what I said before, you're going to make sure the leads coming in are good quality. They're not gibberish, because the people doing click fraud to you that also fill out the form to fake you out, they're going to put gibberish in the form. So you want to see you're getting an average industry conversion rate on your landing pages, and if so, you probably don't have an issue with your issues with click fraud. If you've got a fantastic landing page that is better than your competition's, and you're not already getting the conversion rates that other people in your industry as an average are getting, that's the time where click fraud software could actually be very useful to you to shore up the amount of actual click fraud that's occurring on your site that Google isn't going to catch specifically. So, and of course, most people, just as a side to that, most people are going to think the landing pages are good because the guy they hired that's doing out of his basement that says he knows how to make landing pages, he's covered. And the reality is the consumer decides what's a good landing page, and they want what they want. And somebody who makes a good landing page that knows really how to make a good landing page isn't going to charge $500. They're going to charge $3 grand, $6 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand just for one little landing page, because it takes 10 years of experience to build up cumulatively, making dozens, if not hundreds, of landing pages to really know what he's doing or what she's doing. And that's the landing page you want. And the more money in your market, the more you're going to have to pay. If you're in a market like, say, towing, you may only have to pay $3 grand for a landing page to blow everybody away. If you're in a market where, you're buying, for instance, gold, people that want to sell their gold, they mail it into you. That market, you might have to spend 15 grand for a landing page to be at the top of the pile. So you generally will need to go to a high-end web design firm and pay those kind of rates for an actual good landing page. Or even better would be somebody who specializes in landing pages and landing pages only, and have lots and lots of examples of pages they made. Just know that they're going to charge $500 for this stuff. And if it is, it's a ripoff. So anyway, if you've done your homework to figure out your conversion rate on your landing pages on Mark is good enough to get the average industry conversion rate, and you're not getting it, you can get the click fraud software to try to help get it up to where it needs to be so that your ad campaign overall can be successful. As a side note, I've been talking about search engine advertising on Google up to this point. Some people get the click fraud software for display advertising, and for the most part, that's pretty much, it's not really needed. If you're talking about Google Display Network advertising, if you're doing that and you're trying to get new people who have never heard of you before to come to your site, in terms of blocking the fraud clicks there, I've found it's much more sensible to just go to, after running the ads, where are my ads run? It's a specific report in Google Ads, and find the places that have a irregularly high amount of clicks and then just block them. Because those are the pages that are probably ran by webmasters that are trying to pay people to click on their own ads to get more money from Google and therefore more money from you. And so with that, you don't need click fraud software for that. And at least it's more effective to just block certain website placements from having your ads show up there in the future, given that it's generally like 1 to 3% of the websites out there that are doing that their business model is to click on their own ads. They don't have legitimate traffic going to their site. And as it comes to that, if you're talking about like remarketing, i.e. the ads that follow people around after they've been to your site already, somebody can click fraud you that way by going to your site and then clicking on your banner ads that show up after they leave. But for the most part, if your competitors, so to say, are going to try to do that to you, because that would be competitors, not just what I was talking about before, people trying to, get bilk money from Google by having clicks on their own ads that are on their own websites. Remarketing, that would be an issue with competitors clicking on your ads here again. For the most part, Google's going to be able to block out most of this. And what Google may not block out is people clicking multiple times and getting away with it sometime. And with click fraud software, like I said, you can make sure anybody can only click on an ad once. But on the flip side, somebody who you want to see your remarketing ads, if you're doing it right, like I tell you about on this channel, they should be seeing multiple types of remarketing ads that have your testimonial and your reviews on it, your rewards and your accreditations, to get people to have confidence to want to do business with you over time as they're thinking over who to do business with in that market. So therefore, if you're using click fraud software, it's going to fuck up your campaign. So I wouldn't recommend doing it at all. Just eat the click fraud money, and with that, cost per click, if you're doing remarketing right, is only like 30 cents a click. So it's not going to put you out of business. It'll be a little bit out of your pocket, but for the most part, it wouldn't be much. And even then, it's very rare. It's rare because the people doing the click fraud, they wouldn't have enough of an impact because you're getting so many remarketing clicks most of the time that you're even going to notice it. Therefore, there's nothing to discourage you from doing remarketing in the first place. On Google search, it's easy to discourage you because you're talking about such small numbers. You can notice poor performance quicker. On remarketing, of course, some people are going to really want to see an ROI directly on their remarketing campaigns, and it may discourage them from doing remarketing. But it's not a directly competitive environment. They're not, on Google search, they're trying to get you not to do it because it makes their ads more expensive. If you don't do remarketing, it's not going to make their remarketing less expensive. It would be smart from the standpoint that, if I could stop you from doing your remarketing, it'll make my conversion rates on my site overall better because my remarketing will have a bigger impact on them. That is the truth. But that's a level of sophistication that basically nobody's going to get to. Certainly not anybody who doesn't watch this channel will just say and understand the finer side of PPC and remarketing and consumer psychology and how to get people to want to buy your product when they had no clue that they wanted to buy it before, using some of these techniques. The remarketing and so forth, using multiple remarketing ads in conjunction to kind of brainwash the user as to why you're the best. Anyway, with that said, I would just stay away from it from the remarketing standpoint on Google Display Network. On Facebook, basically, people aren't going to be able to find your ads on Facebook unless you're talking about remarketing. And with that, again, somebody should actually be able to see your remarketing ad more than once and click on it more than once. In fact, you do want people to click on your remarketing ads more than once, so click fraud software isn't going to help you, or at least help you more than what you're going to lose by having the ability for people to click on your remarketing ads more than once. Even if it's the same ad, to be clear, if they see your ad and they click on it, these dummies at the click fraud software companies will say, well, you don't want them going to your site again. The reality is, if it's a really good ad, the likelihood that they're going to buy after they've clicked that ad a second or a third time goes up like tenfold. You're not going to click on it again unless you were like, there's no reason to. The only reason would be is they thought whatever they saw was that amazing. And obviously if they're thinking that, they're thinking your company's amazing. Therefore, they're much more likely to buy. So anyway, long story short, don't do click fraud software to stop click fraud on remarketing campaigns because you're going to hurt yourself more than it helps. And as you're talking about on Facebook, people non-remarketing, i.e. people seeing your ad for the first time, your competitors can't find your ad enough to click on it or to make a difference and to make an impact big enough on your campaign ROI and budget to not worry about you don't have to worry about it anyway. And so and on Google Display Network for people non-remarketing, you block certain sites, like I said before. So anyway, as it comes to click fraud, it's Google search in specific instances where you're in high cost per click markets where you can't get the conversion rate you want where you would typically use it, and you would make it so that people can't click on your ad more than once to try to shore up your conversion rate to match what's competitive to get you a profit in those markets, okay? And as it comes to that, I want to say one last thing, which is there's certain click fraud software out there now where you can actually apply click fraud software to certain campaigns. I would like to use that specifically because if you have brand campaigns, you should first of all run brand campaigns. You should bid on your brand terms. So when somebody wants to come back and buy, they got to your site, they liked what they see, they got paid, they're ready to come back and buy, or they're ready to come back and book a appointment or whatever. They don't remember your brand name specifically, so they type in something close to it that they think is close to what it is that your brand name is because they can't remember it quite. And then the brand ad, search campaign ad that you have pops up and helps them back to your site. It does that very well, and that's one main reason why you run brand ads. So in that case, if they've been to your site already, you want to make sure they can find your brand campaign. So as you do the click fraud software, definitely apply that to your non-brand campaign so you don't screw up your ROI on your overall marketing budget by having your brand campaigns being neutered by people that have been to your site before not being able to see your brand ad, or if they've seen your brand ad and clicked on it, you definitely want them to be able to click on your brand ad again specifically. So with all of that said, you definitely want to be very careful as it comes to the click fraud software you pick so that you don't harm certain aspects of your campaign, i.e. the brand campaigns, the remarketing campaigns. For non-brand campaigns on Google search, it can come in handy in high cost per click markets where you're not getting the conversion rate you want because click fraud is affecting you, and you can apply certainly a little bit more stringent standards to what you don't want to be able to see your ad than Google's going to apply by itself by default. The same technically thing would apply on Bing search if you want to do that as well. And some click fraud softwares do actually do Bing as well. So anyway, that's everything I wanted to share. So hope you enjoyed. Give this video a like if you thought it was valuable to you. And you should subscribe to the channel because I have lots of information to share with you about our PPC results at our PPC firm, stuff that we're doing that's working, stuff that we're doing that's not working. We're sharing with you on this channel and letting you know things like click fraud software, is it snake oil, is it not? Where, and so you don't have to waste time running your own tests. You can just get all the working information on how to make money with PPC here, and it's all very actionable. If you have any questions about anything I covered here, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel. With that said, by the way, I also have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog where I give you step-by-step advice on how to build PPC campaigns, the way that I build them for our clients here, in which we have to guarantee the results for them to be our clients. If you want to see how things are done in a professional manner in which we do things here, you can find great information there as well. I also, one last thing, also wanted to mention, we have a brand new program at our firm, at Guaranteed PPC, where we have turnkey PPC campaigns where we literally get multi-million-dollar a year sales results for a specific company in a specific market. That company's either moved on to something else or would only be using that campaign in a small local market, where if you wanted to start a business in another market, you could use the exact same campaign that we got the killer multi-million-dollar a year results in one market for you in another market. And it's literally could be a turnkey business for you. In that, you could just hire somebody to do the work or go source the products, and you right away have a profitable campaign running for your business already. It's pretty much a business in a box. The hard part of building that business is already done for you. If you want to know what kind of campaigns and what markets we have campaigns in, you should contact our firm at Guaranteed PPC, and we'll cover what we have. So if you're interested in that, let us know. But with that, I'll wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my next video where we have another great money-making PPC strategy for you again. See you then.